This video is an overview video for the carpet bag. The carpet bag has three main sections, 2 side panels and 1 center panel. The center panel has several layers. It has an outside pocket, the actual center panel, and then it also has inside pockets. The side panels also have inside pockets. These panels run from the top of the bag down to the bottom, across the bottom, and then up the back side of the bag. In the center panel, it has pockets on both the front and the back, and the tops of the pockets are covered by this closure for security reasons. Now there are a lot of steps to this bag, so make sure that you cut and label all of your pieces. Now I'm going to show you the general construction of the bag using a half-size piece. So this piece right here is a smaller piece, and it's so that we can show you these pieces in the video. The bag is a very large bag. So again, the bag has 3 main sections, 2 side panels, and a center panel. The side panels are constructed first, and they are actually made at the same time. So you will take and fuse your lining fabric to the fusible side of your interfacing, and then you are going to stitch and flip strips of fabric to the outside. Now you'll notice these lines are drawn on the interfacing. That's just a guide so that I know I'm sewing my strips on evenly. Now the strips are sewn on with what's called a stitch and flip method. So you'll layer a piece of fabric, layer another piece of fabric on top, stitch across, and flip it over. Now I'll show you that right here. So I'm going to take a piece of fabric, I'm going to layer it right sides together on top of the prior strip, sew across with a 1/4 inch seam, and then flip it over. Put another piece of fabric on top, sew it across with a 1/4 inch seam, flip it out, and so forth until you have covered this side, and then do the same thing on that side. Once you have that done, you're going to cut this piece right down the center. So follow the instructions on how to square off your edges and cut this piece down the center. In essence now, you will have 2 side panels. For each side panel, you will want to layer the inside with an inside pocket. Now this is just 2 pieces of fabric placed wrong sides together, bound on each short end. Place that on the inside of your side panel, centered on the inside of your side panel, and pin it in place. The next step is to bind the outside edge. Now you're just going to bind one edge. The second edge will be bound or covered or finished when you sew it to the center panel. Now to construct the center panel, again you're going to have the outside pocket, you're going to have the center panel, and you're going to have the inside pocket. Now the inside pocket is very similar to the inside pocket on the sides. It's just 2 layers of fabric placed right sides together and bound on each short end. On the center panel, the actual center panel, you're going to be doing some channel stitching. Now the key to channel stitching is you want to have that center channel in the very center of your bag, because you want that stitching to line right up through the top closure and the front pocket, and the center panel. Now you will actually be stitching the outside pocket and the top closure as one long piece and then cutting it into two pieces. The actual center panel here is constructed in just one piece. So do your channel stitching, cut your two pieces for your outside pocket and your closure, bind the closure, bind the two short edges of your outside pocket, and layer the outside pocket, the center panel, and the inside pocket. Make sure that you have that the pockets are centered on the center panel, that each end is spaced evenly so that you have the same amount of space here as you do here. Just make sure they're nice and centered. The next step is to sew your side panels to your center panel. You're going to do this with sashing strips. You're going to place a 1 1/4 inch sashing strip, and this is just a single layer of fabric, right sides together on the outside of that layered center panel. You will place a 2 1/4 inch sashing strip that has been folded in half on the inside. Now match your raw edges of this inside sashing strip with the raw edge of that center panel. Sew all of these layers together in one seam. The next step is to sew this side panel to this center panel. Flip this single layer of sashing out. Place the side panel right sides together with that sashing strip, and you're actually going to have to flip this over to sew that seam. You want to make sure that both of your side panels line up so that your strips go straight across. So stitch down here with a 1/4 inch seam. Now I'm going to show you on the other side what that's going to look like. If you can see, that's a 1/4 inch seam, and I've stitched the side panel to the center panel. This is the center panel right here. When you open that up, the front is finished. You flip that to the inside, fold this over. This is the folded edge right here, so it's finished. You're going to fold that over, and you can either hand or machine stitch this to the side panel. If you machine stitch this to the side panel, you're going to see your stitching on the outside of the bag. It will run right along that seam. Now make sure that you use the same or a coordinating thread on here so it doesn't show. The next step is to do the same with the other side panel. I'm just going to turn this around a little bit. Now, one of the things that I forgot to tell you is to make sure that you put your ties on before you do this, before you attach the two pieces together, attach the center panel to the side panels. And you're just basting it on in certain places so that it is actually embedded in that seam. Once you have both of the side pieces on, the next step is to sew your side seams. Your side seams are sewn by folding the bag in half, right sides together. Now this is the side panel right here. You're actually stitching very close to the edge of that binding. What will happen when you do that is you're actually going to see some of that binding on the side, and it is a design element. Once you have that side seam sewn, the next step, we have to pretend that this side seam is sewn. You will stitch across the bottom, creating a triangle on the bottom. Do not cut that triangle off. In a bag, whenever you make one of those corner triangles, flip it up and attach it to the side by tacking it. That actually gives you strength to the bottom corner of your bag. So never cut those off. Once you have your, this is called squaring off the corners of your bag. Once you have that done, turn the bag right side out. You'll then bind the top edge, sew your handles on, tie your ties, put your buttons on, and you are all done.